Reasons why having a cat is a bad idea. And trust me, if you're a cat owner, you're about to relate to every single one of these on a spiritual level. Now, before all the cat lovers come for me in the comments, just hear me out, because by the end of this video, you might actually understand why cats are the way they are, and why despite all of this, you probably still wouldn't trade your little furry chaos agent for anything in the world. Let's dive into all the reasons why getting a cat might just be the best decision you'll ever make. Let's start with the most obvious one. Your cat doesn't actually love you the way you think they do. I know, that hurts to hear, but let me explain. While your dog is basically throwing a parade every single time you come home from literally anywhere, acting like you've been gone for 17 years when you just took out the trash, your cat glances at you from their favorite sunspot, maybe does a slow blink if you're lucky, and goes right back to sleep. Here's the thing that'll really mess with your head. Scientists have done studies where they measured cats' stress hormones when their owners left the room versus when strangers left the room. You know what they found? Cats showed basically the same level of care either way. Your dog's cortisol levels spike when you leave because they genuinely miss you. Your cat's like, oh, the food dispenser left anyway, back to my nap. And let's talk about greetings for a second. Dogs lose their absolute minds when you come home. They're jumping, wagging, crying happy tears, acting like you're a celebrity. Your cat might saunter over eventually, maybe headbutt your leg if they're feeling generous, but more often they just yell at you because their food bowl is half empty. Not empty, just half empty, which in cat language is apparently a crisis that requires immediate screaming. I have a friend who has both a dog and a cat, and she did this experiment where she stayed away for a whole weekend. When she came back, her dog literally cried and couldn't stop jumping on her for like 20 minutes. Her cat looked at her, meowed once like, "You're late with dinner," ate some food, and walked away. The emotional difference is absolutely wild. Now let's talk about the destruction. Oh my goodness, the destruction. Cats are like tiny furry tornadoes with a personal vendetta against everything you own. You spent $300 on a beautiful cat tree with multiple levels, scratching posts, and cozy beds? Cool, your cat's gonna ignore it completely and shred your $2,000 couch instead. Because apparently, expensive furniture just scratches better. And it's not just furniture. Cats have this magical ability to knock things off tables and counters with the precision of a professional bowler. You'd think it's an accident the first time, but then you watch them do it, and you realize they're making direct eye contact with you while they slowly, deliberately push your favorite mug toward the edge. They'll even pause halfway like, "You seeing this? You gonna stop me?" And when you don't move fast enough, boom, there goes your mug. They're not clumsy, they're making a statement. Here's what's even more frustrating. You can't really train them not to do this stuff. With a dog, you can teach them no and leave it, and they'll generally listen because they want to please you. Cats know exactly what no means. They just don't care. You can spray them with water, make loud noises, even catch them in the act, and they'll just stare at you like, "Yeah, and? What are you gonna do about it?" Then they'll do it again the second you turn around. There's this hilarious thing that happens with cat owners. They start buying decoy objects just to satisfy their cat's need to destroy things. Like, okay, you want to knock stuff off tables? Here's a table full of things I don't care about. Go crazy. And sometimes the cat will ignore those and go straight for the one thing you actually care about. It's like they have a sixth sense for value. But wait, there's more chaos to discuss. Let's talk about nighttime, or as I like to call it, the witching hour for cats. You know how most pets sleep through the night peacefully? Not cats. Cats are nocturnal agents of chaos who believe that 3 in the morning is the perfect time to practice their Olympic sprinting routine up and down your hallway. Picture this. You're sleeping peacefully, dreaming about whatever, and suddenly you hear what sounds like a small horse galloping through your house at full speed. That's your 8-pound cat running like they're being chased by invisible demons, jumping on and off furniture, skidding around corners, and probably knocking over at least 3 things in the process. This phenomenon is called the zoomies, and every cat owner knows this pain intimately. But the zoomies are just the beginning of nighttime cat nonsense. Some cats decide that your face is the perfect thing to step on at 4 in the morning. Not gently either. We're talking full weight, All four paws right on your face or chest, sometimes with claws out for extra grip. And if you dare to be asleep when they want attention or food, they'll meow directly into your ear at a volume that should not be possible for an animal that small. I knew someone whose cat had this routine where every single night at 2:30 in the morning, like clockwork, she would bring a toy mouse to the bedroom and scream until someone threw it for her. Not 3 in the morning, not 2. 2:30 specifically. If they ignored her, she'd knock things off the nightstand until someone gave in. She trained them like Pavlov's dogs, except she was the scientist and they were the subjects. And let's not forget the lovely experience of your cat deciding to parkour off your body while you're sleeping. There you are, vulnerable and unconscious, and your cat uses your stomach as a launching pad to jump onto the dresser. Dogs curl up at the foot of the bed and stay there all night. Cats treat your bed like it's part of an obstacle course designed specifically to interrupt your sleep. Now, here's something that really gets me. Cats are incredibly picky eaters, but in the most frustrating way possible. You'll find a food they absolutely love, they eat it every day for weeks, and you're thinking, great, finally found the right one. So you buy a big bulk pack because it's on sale. The very next day, your cat will sniff that same food, look at you with utter disgust, and walk away like you've just insulted their entire bloodline. Meanwhile, that same cat will try to eat rubber bands, plastic bags, your houseplants, and random pieces of string that could literally kill them. You're offering premium, expensive cat food, and they're like, no thanks, I'd rather eat this hair tie I found under the couch. The logic makes absolutely no sense. Dogs will eat literally anything you put in front of them and act like it's the best meal of their lives. Cats will turn their nose up at food that cost more per pound than your own groceries. And don't even get me started on texture preferences. Some cats will only eat pate-style wet food. Some will only eat chunks in gravy. Some want it slightly warm but not too warm. Others want it straight from the fridge. You basically need a PhD in cat food preferences to keep these animals happy. I have a friend who has to mix 3 different types of food together in a specific ratio because her cat is that particular. 3 different types. For one cat. Here's another fun one, the hairballs. Oh, the hairballs. You'll be sitting there enjoying your day, maybe watching TV or reading a book, and you'll hear that distinctive herk 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 sound that means you have approximately 2.5 seconds to grab your cat and get them onto a hard floor before they destroy your carpet or furniture. And cats have this uncanny ability to always choose the most inconvenient spots for this activity. They could throw up on the tile floor right next to them, but no, they'll sprint to your bed or your favorite rug first. And let's be real, hairballs are disgusting. Dogs might throw up occasionally if they eat something weird, but cats are out here hacking up fur tubes on a regular basis like it's their job. You can brush them daily, give them hairball treats, do everything right, and they'll still produce these things like they're getting paid for it. Let's talk about litter boxes, because this is where having a cat gets really fun. You know what dogs do? They go outside. Problem solved. You know what cats do? They use a box of sand inside your house, and then they track that sand all over everything. You'll find litter in your bed, in your kitchen, in rooms that are nowhere near the litter box. It's like cats have made it their mission to spread litter to every square inch of your home. And the smell. Listen, you can scoop that box twice a day, use the best litter money can buy, have one of those fancy automatic cleaning boxes, and there will still be moments where your house smells like a cat lives there. You become nose blind to it, but your guests definitely notice. Dog owners can take their dogs out and never think about it again. Cat owners are out here managing a miniature sand toilet situation inside their living space. Plus, cats are super weird about their litter boxes. Some cats won't use a box if it's been used once already. Some need covered boxes. Some refuse covered boxes. Some need the litter to be exactly 2 inches deep, no more, no less. And if you don't meet their very specific requirements, they'll just go somewhere else in your house to make their point. Dogs don't do this. Dogs are just happy to go outside and get it done. Here's something that dog people love to bring up. Cats don't really do tricks. You can spend months trying to train a cat to do literally anything, and they'll just stare at you like you're the one who needs training. Dogs will learn to sit, shake, roll over, play dead, fetch specific items by name, and they'll do it enthusiastically because they want to make you happy. Cats can learn to do these things technically, but getting them to actually do it when you ask? That's a whole different story. The thing is, cats are smart enough to learn commands. They just don't care about following them. You can call a dog from across the house and they'll come running. You can call a cat by name, and they'll hear you, process that you're calling them, make a conscious decision that they're not interested, and continue doing whatever they were doing. They're not disobedient, they're just independent to the point of being basically unmanageable. I knew someone who tried to train their cat to come when called by using treats as motivation. The cat learned very quickly that coming when called equals treats. But then the cat also learned that if she just waited, the person would eventually bring the treat to her anyway. So she just stopped coming and trained the human to serve her instead. That's the level of intelligence we're dealing with. They're smart enough to train you. Let's discuss personal space, or rather the complete lack of it when it comes to cats. You know how dogs are generally pretty respectful of your space unless they're specifically asking for attention? Cats have zero concept of boundaries. You're working on your laptop? The cat will lay directly on your keyboard. You're trying to read? The cat will sit on your book. You're in the bathroom? The cat will scratch at the door and scream like you've abandoned them forever, and they always choose the most inconvenient times to demand attention. You're on an important work call? That's when your cat decides they absolutely must sit on your shoulders and yell into the microphone. You're trying to cook dinner? The cat will weave between your legs, almost tripping you, because apparently now is the time for pets. You ignore them all day while they're sleeping, but the second you're busy, they need you immediately. But here's the really frustrating part. When you actually want to give them attention, when you're free and ready to cuddle, they want nothing to do with you. You'll sit on the couch, pat your lap invitingly, call them over, and they'll just look at you and walk in the opposite direction. But the second you're on a Zoom call or trying to fold laundry, suddenly they're desperate for affection. It's like they have a radar for the worst possible timing. Okay, here's another thing that's kind of wild. Cats are basically liquid. You give them a box, any box, and they will sit in it, even if they don't fit. You could have a tiny Amazon box that's clearly too small, and your cat will squish themselves into it like they're trying to defy the laws of physics. Meanwhile, you bought them an expensive bed that's the perfect size and they'll never touch it. The box your expensive bed came in? That's their new favorite spot. And they'll sleep in the weirdest positions in the weirdest places. You'll find your cat sleeping in the bathroom sink, on top of the refrigerator, inside a shoe, or folded in half in a way that looks physically impossible. Dogs will find a comfy bed and sleep there like normal animals. Cats will choose the most uncomfortable-looking position in the strangest location and act like it's the height of luxury. Let me tell you about something that happened to someone I know. She bought her cat this beautiful cushioned window perch so the cat could look outside comfortably. The cat ignored it completely. Instead, the cat chose to balance on the tiny windowsill where there's barely any room, looking incredibly uncomfortable but refusing to move. She even tried putting the cat on the perch multiple times. The cat would immediately jump back to the uncomfortable sill. Why? Nobody knows. Cats just do things that make no sense. Now let's talk about how cats show affection, because it's honestly bizarre. A dog will wag their tail, lick your face, lean against you, and be generally obvious about loving you. Cats? Cats will slow blink at you, which you might not even notice. They'll headbutt you kind of aggressively. They'll bring you dead animals if they go outside, or dead toy mice if they're indoor cats, and leave them in your shoes like some kind of serial killer leaving clues. And the kneading thing? When cats knead you with their paws, which is supposed to be a sign of affection, they also extend their claws and essentially puncture you repeatedly. So you're sitting there getting stabbed while your cat purrs happily, and you're supposed to just accept this as love. Dogs will rest their head on your lap gently. Cats will literally use you as a pincushion and expect you to appreciate it. Some cats show love by biting you. Not hard enough to really hurt, but enough that you're like, was that affection or aggression? It's called a love bite, which is honestly a terrible name because it's still a bite. You'll be petting your cat, they're purring, everything seems great, and then suddenly they bite your hand for no apparent reason. Dogs don't do this. Dogs don't confuse people by mixing affection with mild violence. All right, So I've spent this whole video telling you why cats are basically terrible roommates who don't appreciate you, destroy your stuff, interrupt your sleep, and generally make life more complicated. And if you're a cat owner, you've probably been nodding along to all of this because you live this reality every single day. But here's the thing. Despite all of this, despite the chaos and the destruction and the attitude and the complete lack of respect for your sleep schedule, you still love your cat, don't you? And you know what? That actually makes sense because all of these terrible things are exactly what makes cats so special. The fact that your cat doesn't throw a parade every time you come home makes those moments when they do show affection so much more meaningful. When your cat chooses to curl up with you, you know they genuinely want to be there, not because they're programmed to please you, but because in that moment, they actually want your company. That's pretty special when you think about it. The independence that makes them seem aloof is also what makes them perfect for people who work long hours or want a pet that doesn't need constant attention. You don't have to feel guilty about leaving a cat alone during the day. They're honestly probably relieved to have some peace and quiet without you bothering them. And yeah, they knock stuff over and destroy things, but that's because they're playful and curious and full of personality. Every cat is so different, so individual, so completely themselves without any regard for what you think they should be. That strong personality is what makes them interesting and entertaining, even when it's frustrating. The nighttime zoomies? That's your cat being their authentic wild self, tapping into those natural hunting instincts. It's actually kind of amazing that this tiny domesticated animal still has so much wild energy in them. And, okay, yes, it's annoying at 3 in the morning, but it's also pretty funny when you think about it. Even the picky eating and weird preferences show that cats know what they like, and they're not going to settle for less. There's something kind of admirable about an animal that refuses to compromise on their standards, even if it makes your life harder. The truth is, cats choose you. Dogs love everyone and are loyal to whoever feeds them and gives them attention. Cats are selective. When a cat loves you, it's because you've earned it, and that makes the relationship feel more like a partnership than pet ownership. You're not their master, you're their chosen person, and that's actually really beautiful when you think about it. So yeah, getting a cat might be a terrible idea if you want an obedient, predictable pet that lives to please you. But if you want a companion with personality, independence, and the kind of love that has to be earned rather than given freely, then getting a cat might just be the best, worst decision you ever make. Drop a comment and tell me which one of these chaotic cat behaviors you deal with every day, but somehow still love your cat anyway. I bet every cat owner has at least 3 of these stories. And if you enjoyed this loving roast of our feline friends, you're going to love this next video where I talk about all the secret ways cats actually do show love that most people completely miss. Trust me, it'll make you appreciate your little chaos agent even more.